All right, it looks like we're connected. So let's talk off grid. My name is Jonathan the Painter. I am coming to you from my studio in New England, where it's entirely off grid. Our house is off grid. We've got a family of five, and it's just been an interesting journey. And for a long time, we've kind of had a history of collecting data, collecting information, and really practical, applicable, hopefully useful things that we could share, stories that we could share, and just different things that have worked or not worked, and why. And we just kind of needed a place to start sharing it. And so I set up my little bit of a studio and my painting studio. It's going to share double duty here, and it's going to be off the grid with Jonathan the Painter. And I think it's just going to be an opportunity for us to connect with new ideas and thoughts and technologies and opportunities. Because when I started designing this house, like 4 years ago at this point, there was just such a different landscape in terms of how it was all going to come together and what was available and what was practical and what was economical. And even for our family, we've got teenagers, we've got certain power usages and internet usages and heating that we just got to accommodate and deal with, and everybody's just got to come together and understand how it all works. And it's just been a really great learning curve for our family, and so we just kind of wanted to share some of that information out. And a lot of that too comes from the fact that I flip through a lot of news and I read a lot of fascinating news just all over the map about off-grid living, about solar panels and harvesting different sustainable sources of power. And I just think it's interesting to share just not only maybe um, my very just generic sentiments on it. I have no expertise in anything like that, but just my general passion and excitement for it. But then how it applies to if we're making X amount of power, what does that mean? What does our household use? We use about probably 20 kilowatts of power a day on average, but when you take that number out seasonally, it's just different. It's different in the winter than it is in the summer. Our power production is different, and we can get into all that. And that's kind of one of the articles that I was reading. I was getting into some trying some new software out too. So I hope this all works. I hope this comes together. I'm just going to keep pushing this stone up the hill until I kind of feel like I got a handle on it. So thanks for anybody bearing with bearing with me on this, or coming back to watch this and see how this all started. I really appreciate that. And so our I came across this article. So this is from the Cool Down. I like this publication, and Leo Collis here about a week ago. An off-grid homeowner dispels common myths about their way of life after Hurricane Milton. And essentially, I mean, what was pretty cool about this is this homeowner, solar panel owner, YouTube channel Rowow, ROWOW at Rowow. I should write to him. But he was basically saying how his panels that he built this structure, or he had a large hand in putting this all together, and he got repurposed or reused, renewed solar panels. He got them for a really good price, and so he actually this whole array survived Hurricane Milton. Here, I'll play a little bit of this. I think it's worth playing the video for a sec.
So Hurricane Milton just passed by. In this region, we had about 80 and 90-mile-per-hour winds, and yeah, we don't have any power, no
That's
electricity. Everyone around here is running generators, but I got my solar.
80, 90 mile per hour wind. That's some strong wind right there. We'll see those gusts up by us. I'm on the coast. We'll see those gusts, but when that's one of the things that concern me about our panels. Here's this is what our panels look like. Here's in a little bit of a wind gust. But I feel like we've got everything hurricane tied down and everything like that. So if Rawow is surviving 80 to 90 mile an hour winds with his setup here, I feel really confident that solar can be installed and implemented in such a way that it's surviving some of these higher caliber storms, higher wind. We're clocking higher wind speeds and things like that. We just need to make sure that we're maintaining the right sustainable installation integrity along with capturing some of these sources. And so I think Rawow is really onto something here, and I love this setup.
Solar panels. This video is a bit of a clarification on misconceptions that a lot of people have
For sure.
about solar power. First solar issue a lot of people have is the cost. I paid $1,000 for these solar panels right here. They're used, but they work great. I bought them over 5 years ago. They've been generating power nonstop, absolutely fantastic. And that was 5 years ago. The price has been going lower and lower.
That's for sure. That's amazing. First of all, that price is amazing. 5 years ago, we bought our solar panels almost 4 years ago. They were new, and our price was very different. I don't know what panels he has. I don't know what wattage he's producing. I don't know if that included installation costs. I don't quite know what the totality of that cost is. But 1,000 panels for $1,000 for however many panels he's got quite a few out there. That's amazing. That's really awesome. And he's right. They have come down quite substantially.
You could easily get probably a 10 kilowatt system for less than $2,000. Easily, no problem. It's just insane how cheap solar has gotten.
That's true. I think you could get a 10 kilowatt solar array for somewhere around there. I actually have to do the math. Maybe I'd go back and see if how practical and feasible that is. But where the key for us is the battery storage, and then I also don't know if that includes inverting the power. I don't know if that includes any kind of gateway or mechanism to transfer that power through to a battery system or a home or, some kind of vehicle a house to load, something like that, charging a vehicle. So I don't know what that price includes, but he's onto something. I mean, I think he's really hitting the mark here.
Second thing is reliability. So right now it is a little cloudy, but throughout the day it's been getting sunny and bright. And the one thing that everyone knows after a storm is that it's always calm right after the storm. Again, it's a little cloudy right now, but it's been bright.
Not always true in New England. Not always true up here, but I hear what you're saying.
And in the next few days, it's going to be very, very bright and pretty much full blast sun all you want. And after the week's over, we'll have the electric company probably fix it. Typically, it takes a couple days at worst during the worst storms, but I'm pretty confident that they'll get it up and running. But even without that, I have some battery banks back there, and I have around 50 kilowatts of storage. I will admit battery is an issue, though I'm working on fixing that problem. I'm working on some redox flow battery technologies that's very cheap.
50 kilowatts of storage, that's a lot of power. I don't know, again, I don't know if he's got lead acid batteries. I don't know if he's got lithium ion. He just mentioned the redox. Like, I think he's got the right idea in terms of how he's going to evolve the system, and add to it and sort of scale it up. But 50 kilowatts of power is a lot. That's a lot of power, brother. We have 40. We have 40 for our house. We have a 2,400 square foot house. And granted, you're 100% right. I mean, we're on the same page in terms of it doesn't meet the needs in certain situations, in certain important situations, particularly with the heat. I actually took a screenshot today. Let me throw this on. So this is power we're using today, this morning. This is running a mini split. So we've got 3.2. We're running 3.2 kilowatts to our home. And you could see kind of where is it this way? Here it is. I got to figure out how to point with this thing. So you can see we got 3.2 kilowatts at that point. It's off now because I heated up my studio and we ran the mini split for a little bit. But we were making 1.5. This was maybe like 9 in the morning, something like that. We were making 1.5 kilowatts. We were using 3.2. And so, but that's the heat. That's the element of having the heat going. And then just so you could see how we have it here, it was about, it was mid 40s this morning as we were kind of getting up. I think it was supposed to get hit 45. It's going to get into the 50s today. So that's pretty good. So we got a good day. We got some good sun coming. It's a little bit of cloud, but we're going to charge our system up. But we're going to 40 kilowatts. I'll get into what that provides for us. And obviously, the more the merrier. That's for sure. But 40 kilowatts, and you can see our solar shed here. And this is sort of the conditions. This is what it looked outside while we were making that 1.5 kilowatts of power from the solar, while we were using 3.2 kilowatts to start up the mini split. That's the startup power on that. Once it gets going, it kind of dies down a little bit from a power usage standpoint, and to maintain it, it doesn't need all those spikes. But yeah, we can get into what 40 kilo. You've got 50. You're on the right track. Let's go back to Wow here. Finish this out. I don't think there's too much left in this video.
But anyways, the point is you can get used batteries decently enough, reliably enough, and compared to the cost of a generator, this is way, way better.
Absolutely
I
agree.
don't have to hear any annoying generator. I don't have to worry about any carburetor clogging up, any worrying about fuel. Like that's one issue is fuel. Like all the stores all around me, all the gas stations, they're all been closed and pretty much out of fuel for the past this entire week, almost since Monday. So
Really important. You're hitting on really important, huge things here. So the noise, and it sounds, kind of frivolous or maybe anecdotal until you don't have to listen to it. And this is how I feel about a lot of the utility equipment that we're trying to switch over to electric. So, for instance, we have a lawnmower. We had a gas lawnmower. Now we have an electric lawnmower. The difference of not hearing that noise and just the ease of use and the peace of mind and the quality, the air quality, it's palpable. He's not even kidding. And so we're talking about not running a pull generator. We've had a pull generator in the past. I had to dislocate my shoulder, ripping this thing, getting it going on the coldest days when you least feel like doing it, even though you prepared and changed everything and a month prior it worked like a charm. We've all been there. And then the thing runs, it's loud, it smokes, you got to go get gas. It's just, and especially in these situations when the lines are long or the stations are running out of fuel or the infrastructure just isn't quite there to handle the instant needs of what the community needs. But here we are with the sunshine to handle those needs. How amazing is that?
I mean, sure, you could back up with that, but still, there's extra cost, extra hassle, extra everything. Why would you go with gas generators? Just go with solar. It's cheaper or the same price. Well, cheaper if you especially account for long term because these solar panels aren't just for this hurricane. They're for every single storm that happens afterwards.
Yeah.
They're for every single day use. During the daytime when I have full blast sun, I just have my appliances running on maximum, all my air conditioners, everything, because I don't care. I have extra power, I have extra electricity. So
That's exactly how we feel. Again, this is as I start to, I think just opening up with these kinds of, I don't know, reaction content, if you will, to some of the sustainable off-grid technology and news, that kind of front that's opening up. I think just gives me the opportunity to share some of these stories without feeling like I've got to have all this pressure to edit a big video, which I'm still going to do. I'm going to do videos that just share the insides of our system and how it works and also what we've learned. But just being able to react to these, this is really awesome content and really applicable and practical information. And so when he's just talking about that transition over and he's talking about all of these benefits in a storm, and then he's realizing, or not just realizing, he's sharing the fact that that becomes your everyday way of living. And that's how we live. So, granted, we're very acute to the weather and what's happening and where we're headed with it. And we're particularly sensitive in the wintertime. To be honest, there's weeks in the summertime when I don't even look at the Tesla system because I know our battery's full. I know we've got 16 hours of daylight to make up for some sunshine. But in the wintertime, where we're coming into it now, it's November, shorter days. We're getting into maybe 8 hours, 6 hours of really sunshine. That if we're lucky and it's not overcast, there's not a storm coming in, there's not something that's in the mix here, that we've got to capitalize while we can. And so that's the trick to how you size your array. I'm going to get into that, how you size your panels, because you don't want to undersize it. You don't want to oversize it because you could spend a lot of money, but you also kind of want to hit that sweet spot where you're depending on where you're integrating your sustainable system, like what seasons, what the seasons effect are, what your lifestyle is, what your family, how your family lives. So there's just so many factors into that. And so I think it's just great to start to have that conversation because it's just going to be a little bit of a different fit for everybody. But the way this technology has evolved is that there's opportunity to find where that fit is. So I think that that's part of the really exciting thing is that people like Row Wow, who in a terrible situation, in a hurricane, in a circumstance when historically they might not have had access to power for X amount of days, for an unknown amount of days, and just the not knowing is overwhelming. And here he is taking his power, democratizing his power, and taking it into his own hands.
So that's one thing I highly suggest is, look into reevaluate your power decisions and,
Yeah.
maybe look into solar panels because you can do very, very well off them, especially during a hurricane.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more. That's a great video. That's a great short video. And those panels, the $1,000 that he invested in used panels, survived Hurricane Milton. It's 90-mile-an-hour winds. So I did have some trepidation. We built a separate solar shed just so we could optimize the location and the orientation, the south-southwest. And honestly, what it comes down to is we wanted to make sure we capture it in the wintertime, especially like coming into the season around now, when the arc of the sun is a bit lower in our sky. We wanted to make sure that we had enough elevation in our panels that we were making sure that we were capturing as much of that as possible. But you also want the snow to slide off. You also want to, have enough when you've got the summertime arc that's coming up a little bit broader in the sky. You want to be able to kind of capture all that too. So, you try to find that best fit line that works for you. And I'll share how we came to that determination for us and whether it worked or not. But just to know in a storm, in all kinds of circumstances that are really challenging and where the grid and the traditional sense of stability in how we would be provided power is not working, that we still have now all these opportunities to create our own individual grids, microgrids, community-based power structures that really give us, I think, an advantage in both our quality of life and the way that our community can come together and heal after challenging situations. So that's where I'm going to leave this. I want to thank RowWow on that video. Thank the Cool Down. That was a great article. You could see more about our system on theoffgridfarm.com. And I'm going to post more here. This is great. I'm going to try to keep going live and do 15 to 20-minute videos and just kind of showcase again whether it's letting you see the power input and output that we're using in our house and what our solar panels are collecting. So we have 36 solar panels. They're about 220-watt panels. And so I think we could get about, I didn't do the math on it, but we can get close to 12 kilowatts an hour when we're in the summer, when we're really maxing out. And so 12 kilowatts, we couldn't run all of our air conditioning. I don't think anything we would run would use up to that amount. But where we start to get a little bit tricky is we just got an electric vehicle. We bought a used electric vehicle. So where a lot of people can charge that car overnight and off-peak hours and things like that, we've got to be a little more careful about how we delineate that power, because if it's cold and we want to make sure, if it's cold and it's going to be cloudy for a few days, and we want to make sure that we're maintaining adequate battery storage within our Tesla Powerwall system, then we don't want to be pulling all that power out and putting it into our car. But on the flip side, if we're running a little bit short on power and it's going to be a little cloudy or a little stormy the next few days, we now have the ability to take the power from our car, from our Hyundai Ioniq 5, and port it through a manual transfer switch in our solar shed. So in this solar shed here, so we can park our car right next to that shed, and we can hook it up, switch over the manual transfer switch, and we can power our entire house with our car. And that's pretty awesome. I'm going to do a new video, maybe in the next couple of days. I've done a video on that on our YouTube page. I'm going to do a new one, similar to this, and just kind of show you how magical that is and how great it is to have this conversation now between power coming into our house, power flowing out of our house, being able to capture it in solar. We don't do any wind power right now, but it would be great if we could see where that, especially in the storms, that would really give us a little bit of an extra boost when the clouds are coming in. There's usually wind with that a lot of times in these storms. So it'd be great to capture something if we're losing something. And that's just it, just to have some redundant systems, some recurring options, and the ability to create our own power and bring it together in a way that suits our family. And it's just really exciting to talk about it. So thanks for anybody that's listening out there. Let me know if you have any questions. If you have questions about what orientation that you're looking to install a solar system, a ground array, an array on a shed, on your house. I would love to answer any questions or how our system works. I'm going to share a lot more about how much power our oven uses, how much power taking a shower is. It's like these are just practical things that I think we need to talk about, because that's part of the conversation moving forward. So thanks, everybody. Hope you guys have enough power for your day, inside and out. Get through it, stay colorful out there, and I'll see you next time on the Off Grid Farm. Cheers.